My first lecture is about Introduction to Purification of Proteins. In this lecture, we will see why do we need to purify the proteins, what can be the source of protein for extraction, which problems are encountered during protein purification, which properties of proteins can be considered for protein purification, and what is the source of intracellular and extracellular proteins. Proteins are extracted for multiple purposes, for example, for diagnostic purpose, for experimental analysis. For diagnostic purpose, the biological source which is used are the patient cells or tissues, while for experimental purpose, we use bacteria, yeast, plant, insect cell lines or tissues. While sometimes the genetically engineered tagged proteins of interest are produced in the expression systems and are extracted from different expression systems like bacterial cells. Whatever may be the source of proteins, the protein purification has always been a very complicated process due to various problems encountered. These problems include no generalized property can be applied in protein purification. Like in case of nucleic acids, for example, DNA and RNA, while designing a protocol, we keep it in mind that they are negatively charged molecules. While in case of protein, no specific charge can be applied because proteins are made up of amino acids and amino acids charge varies in response to change in the pH of the medium. Second major problem is that amount of protein of interest tends to be quite small. Intracellular proteins concentrations are known to be in the range of 300 milligrams per ml. In some cases, proteins may be in picomolar or femtomolar concentrations. For spectroscopic or calorimetric methods, proteins should be in 0.01 to 1 millimolar range. So mostly proteins cannot be directly analyzed. While for mass spectrometric analysis, sample should be in femtogram units. Hence, the small concentration of the protein of interest has always been a limiting factor in its subsequent analysis. Third problem encountered is that there is no way to amplify the proteins. In case of DNA and RNA, if we extract these molecules in minute concentrations, even then we can proceed them for further analysis because DNA can be amplified through polymerase chain reaction, while RNA can be amplified through reverse transcriptase PCR or RT-PCR, while there is no way to amplify the proteins. Fourth problem encountered is the contamination, which is an inevitable issue. There are many proteins which are classified as noise and are present in much greater quantities than the target protein, which makes the data analysis difficult. Mostly intermediate filament proteins and histones appear as contaminants when analyzing trace amounts by mass spectrometry. Fifth limitation is the instability of the proteins. Proteins are highly unstable molecules. They can be degraded in vivo and in vitro. It is not easy to block all proteolytic activity by adding protease inhibitor to a test tube. If temperature, pH, salt concentration is not suitable, proteins are likely to be denatured. And even if buffer conditions are not optimal, proteins may aggregate before or after analysis. Various properties of the proteins which can be considered for the purification include charge, hydrophobicity, affinity, solubility and stability, and the molecular weight. Now the protein source which can be used for the extraction purpose is often in the form of cell culture. For example, we take the example of bacterial cells. A cell culture consists of the cells which are grown in a medium. The medium provides all the necessary elements, nutrient elements needed for the growth of bacterial cells. For example, here you can see in the test tube there is a turbid. There is a turbidity which is showing the growth of cells in the medium. Now, in order to purify the proteins from the cells, we will subject this culture to centrifugation process. As a result of centrifugation, the contents in the test tube will be divided into two phases. The upper soluble phase, which is known as supernatant, while the at the bottom there will be sediment of pelleted cells. Hence, the supernatant can be used as a source of extracellular proteins, while the pellet is used as a source of intracellular proteins. In order to process the pellet for further subsequent purification of proteins, it is subjected to cell lysis techniques, and these different cell lysis techniques will be studied in my next lecture. Thank you.